A lockout is looming for the WNBA, and I think it's about time that people start recognizing that that is probably the direction of what is going to happen with the WNBA. As yesterday's meetings didn't seem to go all that well, and that's directly from the mouth of players and with what's going on in their comments, which they made yesterday or even today. I'm not sure when they made the comments because there's all kinds of interviews with different players. The one thing that you see from these all these different interviews is there's a certain lack of understanding of business. And while I will always champion for people to get as much money as they possibly can and they should fight for every dollar that they possibly can, they need to have some level of leverage and information that proves their stance, proves that they earned this compensation that they are so very much seeking. Problem with the WNBA players is that they don't get that they don't have leverage. They think they have leverage in the form of maybe the unrivaled league. They think they have leverage in terms of their claims of attendance and ticket sales and television ratings. They think these things, but they're being disingenuous about these things. And this is where acting accordingly would have helped them a whole lot better than acting as if you have a problem with somebody. And that's largely the issue when it comes to the WNBA. They refuse to acknowledge who their golden goose was. They refuse to acknowledge who is the reason that they got these opportunities and got these numbers and got these ratings and got their chartered flights and got their better hotel accommodations and got their everything they've gotten, the attention. And instead of acknowledging they've gone the opposite direction and they think it's because they as a whole are responsible for it. Not that it's largely one player, and we've repeated this 1,001 times. But if you listen to their comments today, it shows that a lockout is coming. A lockout is more than likely heading our way, and we will talk about it. Welcome back, everyone, to another edition of Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. We talk facts over feelings. I'm your host, Rudy Rodriguez Shomont. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. Let me know your thoughts. What do you feel about this? I appreciate y'all continued support of the channel. We broke through 11,000 subscribers and we busted down the door. We're going to keep on breaking down barriers, breaking down the wall to get us to 12,000 subscribers. And I thank you for all of that. Let's go right ahead and take a look at an example of one of the interviews that took place talking about this. So let's start off with Gabby Williams. I'm gonna save the most interesting stuff for the end. Okay, I'm not starting with her because that's a 19-minute video. Sorry. Let's start off with Natasha because she lives in a permanent state of delusion. Sorry about that. Let's see here.
I would say I don't think any progress was made. I think we came as the players in our union really just prepared to allow them to see a forefront that is not playing, a forefront that understands the worth and value. And we're going to continue to push for everything that we've earned. And I think that the word earned is something that needs to be highlighted. I think a lot of times we get told to just continue to take crumbs and be thankful for what we have, and that's just not the case anymore in our league. And by the amount of teams that we keep adding to this league, that's not the case from a business model either. And so for here on out, that meeting yesterday was really cool for a number of reasons. It's the first time that we've ever had like 40 players be able to sit in front of the other side of this to be able to voice our opinions, our concerns, our voice our understanding. Because sometimes I think our intelligence is insulted in a lot of ways. We're not just basketball players. We understand basic economics. We understand business models. We understand exactly where this league is and where this league is heading. And so we're just going to continue to push for everything that we deserve.
Did she really say that they understand business models, they understand economics, they understand where the league is heading? She said all of that. She says their intelligence is insulted. Yeah, largely because you're dumb. Largely because you're dumb. That entire statement was dumb. That entire statement was dumb. They're adding teams because Caitlin Clark showed up. They're adding teams because there's an interest from outside people who want to jump on this train of DEI and wokeness to add more teams. Not that these teams will be supported by the cities that they were previously in that didn't support them before, but now are magically going to support them and fill up 18,000 seat arenas because they all think that it's going to follow suit with what Golden State is doing. It's not. It might initially, but it's really not because these cities largely don't have any money. You know, San Francisco is one of the wealthiest cities in the country. Detroit is damn sure not, and Cleveland damn sure is not. And this statement of earned. What did you earn? How do you earn something when you're losing money? It's like this constant having the repeat of the skipped record. It keeps repeating itself. You earn what you make. If you don't make any money as a profit for a league, why should you be collecting on revenue of a league when they're not even breaking even on this thing? The fact that you even get 1 red cent of revenue is a gift. It's a gift. And if you think, as I've heard from other players, that you should get half of the revenue of the league, well, you're on absolute drugs. That would put them in a bigger hole than they already are as a league that still lost money in 2024 with the addition of Caitlin Clark, because what happened with that was they added expenses of charter jets and nicer hotels and whatever else they provided to them. They got more. Just without even having a CBA, they got more. I'm not saying they don't have a right to fight for what they want in a CBA. I'm saying that they have to be reasonable to what they have produced individually, not collectively. What do you, Natasha Cloud, bring to the WNBA? Do you bring viewers? Up until last year, there's not a person in the WNBA that would have any argument of having drawn in viewership because people weren't watching the league. So unless your name is Caitlin and Angel, you don't have much leg to stand on. I'm not even looking at the other players that got drafted. If your name isn't Caitlin and Angel, you really don't have a whole lot to say because you individually, your league wasn't drawing anything until those players showed up last year, which is where all this stuff was produced for y'all. You jumped on the gravy train, you jumped on the train, and you got to enjoy these things, but none of y'all produced this stuff. Do I think they should get revenue for their jersey sales? Absolutely. You get name, image, and likeness in college. You should absolutely get name, image, and likeness off of your jersey, your image on WNBA products. I 1000% agree with that stance. I absolutely think that they should get more money. How much more money? It's not for me to say. Do I think that the rookie salary should go from 78,000 or 80,000 or 75,000 to, let's say, 100 grand, 115? I think that's reasonable for a league that doesn't make bread. They are going to use the fact that they have these new teams coming in, and so these owners are going to have more cash flow because of the franchise fees that they're going to collect themselves. So there is that argument, but that's not revenue they have to share with players. That's not revenue the league is creating from games, from television rights. Those are franchise fees. It's not the same thing. These players did not create the new franchises. They didn't. Largely, Caitlin Clark is what created these new franchises and got the league to just go balls to the wall and go from 12 to 18 teams again in 6 years, which is not the best business model in itself. It's very dangerous. It dilutes all of the money you get off of TV deals, which dilutes the division of money per team, which dilutes how much money you can get per player. Yes, they have the option, I think, in a few years to relook at that deal and see if they can adjust it, blah, 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 or opt out, or whoever knows what it is. I'd love to see the ladies just somehow detach from the NBA and survive this thing on their own, minus NBA help, minus NBA subsidy, minus NBA arena support. Yes, there are some teams that do have the same owner as an NBA owner. So yeah, they're going to have that advantage. Actually, like New York has the New York Liberty have an advantage. Even the Indiana Pacer Fever have an advantage. They're owned by the same people. But this stuff where you're sitting here saying you've earned it based off of what metric? Attendance created by one player? You played in Phoenix last year, Natasha. Your team averaged like 9,000 fans a game. It's ridiculous. Now we can take a look at Breanna Stewart and
Yeah.
situation. Let's take a look at Breanna Stewart. She's up next.
Yeah. I think yesterday's meeting was good for the fact that we could be in the same room as the league and the board of governors and that sort of thing. But I think, like, to be frank, it was a wasted opportunity. Like we could have really kind of gotten into like a deeper dive of everything, but we just it was a lot of fluff that we couldn't get past, and it sucks because situations like that aren't going to happen again because players are playing for different teams and different leagues, and this is the only time to have a group together like this. Yeah.
They seem very excited about the fact that there were people that were there. You can throw a whole bunch of people in a room with a bunch of pads. It doesn't mean that you're going to get anywhere. Actually, the more people you have in the room actually makes it worse. You throw 40 different opinions into a room, you're going to have 40 different loudmouths giving opinions that don't need to be given opinions. They have player representatives for a reason. You don't need to have players in the room that are not the player representatives. If you're not a player representative, you shouldn't even be in the room, to be quite honest. Seriously. If you're not part of that decision-making process, you shouldn't even be in the room. The player is supposed to go back to his or her team and let them know what's what. The player then I guess they would then talk to their teammates and then they decide which way they want to go. But you have a player rep for a reason. You don't need 40 players, and you can put all the players in the world that you want in there. It doesn't change the fact that the owners are looking at you saying, "Really, really, really." You don't say, "Really." Okay, let's look at the next one here. Let's go here. Angel Reese on this topic.
The youngest players are studying Paige, Kiki, and Sonya were sitting right next to each other and knowing like they show us the numbers from 26, 27. They don't show you 30 and 30, 31. And my mom told me when I was younger, like they'll show you the money here, but what about the longevity of it? The players that are coming after us next year's.
The hell is she talking about? I'm gonna stop off it. They're not showing you 30, 31 because the most CBAs don't go more than 4 or 5 years. How long do you want this CBA to go? Uh, the typical CBA goes like 5 years, I guess. There's usually opt-outs. Like the NBA CBA from 17-18, they had an opt-out in 22-23. And they had a new agreement before the opt-out. Like you want to have 30-31 put on paper right now? It's not going to be the same come 30-31. I'd be more worried about what's coming over the next 2-3 years, not over what's coming over in 6 when you might not even be in the league anymore. Stop acting like you're truly concerned about the future of the league. You're not. You should be concerned about what's going on right now. You might not be there in 6 years. You can't guarantee anything.
Players. So I think it's really important right now. Obviously, women's basketball is skyrocketing, and it's important for us to get what we want now, but not just now, but for the future as well. And it's really nice to have vets that may not be playing for 10 more years, but they are speaking for us because they know how important it is right now. It was an eye opener for me, like hearing the things and hearing the language of things, and not things that I was happy to hear. It was disrespectful to things that we were sent back, the proposals that we were sent back, and knowing that like this is for the next generation. Like it's important to be able to be vocal. If I sit back, it looks like I don't care. Like, and I know my voice and I know my platform. You love it or you hate it. I know it gets views. So I just know that I have to be a vocal. I have to sit at that table one day. But right now we have great leaders.
Disrespectful. I'm gonna be real with you. I don't care if Angel Reese is sitting there. I don't care if Caitlin Clark is sitting there. Neither of those players should come back and say anything is disrespectful. You just got here. You just got here. It might be disrespectful to you on a personal level, but before Caitlin and you showed up, they didn't draw flies to dog shit. And that's the problem. You look at it as disrespectful. You're making hand over fist and dollars. Caitlin's making hand over fist and dollars. You're not. The rest of these women, a lot of these women aren't making shit. But it's not disrespectful. It's just honest. It's what business is. Don't sit here and say you didn't understand words. You needed a dictionary. You don't. That's the thing. You don't even understand what you're being told. And I'm convinced that a majority of these players don't understand what they're actually being told. They don't know what. They don't know what. They don't know what earnings before interest, taxes, and amortization is. EBITDA. They don't know what that is. Most of them don't. They don't understand depreciation. They don't understand. What's the other word? They don't understand they don't really understand the stock market, the markets. They don't understand anything. They don't understand business 101, which is why they hire agents, accountants, and people to do these things for them. They don't know what the difference between EBITDA and profit are. They don't know the difference. Let's continue here with Angel.
I know that you've been pretty vocal about CBA negotiations and things that you guys are fighting for. What do you think is the most important thing now that you guys have met with the league and moving forward?
Yeah, yesterday was my first meeting in person and being able to have the opportunity to face with the league. I think it was very important to have all those players there, more than 40, and just being able to see our faces because we are about business. It's bigger than me. Um, no player is less important than me or more important than me. We're all here to fight for the same thing.
That's not true, actually. No player's more important. No, yeah, there are players that are more important. I mean, Angel, you're actually more important than a lot of the players. Caitlin's more important than almost all the players. Asia Wilson's more important than most of the players. That's not accurate. Having the 11th player on your bench there is definitely. Yeah, you guys, there are certain players that are more important than other players. Like say Michael Jordan's not more important than the 12th man on his bench. Like, stop.
What we deserve. With basketball and WNBA is all I know. And this is the league I love so much. And we're not going to stop until we get exactly what we want. And yes,
You're not going to stop till you get exactly what you want. That's not what a negotiation is. We're not going to stop until we get exactly what we want. That's not what negotiations are. Negotiations are coming to an agreement. Party A wants this, party B wants this. If party A gets everything they want, that means that's not a negotiation. That means party B just acquiesced. If party B gets everything they want and party A just comes over here, that means party B got what they want and party A just acquiesced. Negotiations are like this. You give up something, you give up something, you give up something, you give up something. You compromise this, you compromise that, and you come and you meet. That is a negotiation. She doesn't even understand those basic forms of what negotiation is. And if this is how the women in the WNBA are walking into a meeting with this exact statement.
And yesterday's meeting really woke me up. And yesterday's meeting, and we're not going to stop until we get exactly what we want.
Exactly what we want.
And yesterday's meeting really woke me up to the eyes of we aren't getting what we deserve. And
now it's back to deserve. You don't deserve anything. You deserve what you're paid. Like, do you deserve more than the player next to you? Do you deserve to have the endorsements that you have? No, you earn those and you earn them. Earned, deserve. This word that keeps being used. You don't deserve anything. You deserve what you're given. You earned something. There's a difference. You don't deserve shit.
And knowing that for a long time, and knowing over the past years the numbers that they were giving us, I'm like, wow, like I didn't know all this stuff, and now being able
No kidding. Of course you didn't know all this stuff. You weren't in the WNBA. Why would you know all this stuff?
to be informed, knowing that I can be more vocal, because I do know more.
What is your vocalness going to do? Are you going to be vocal in doing interviews? Is doing interviews, complaining about the system and complaining about the proposals, does that change what's going to happen in meetings? Does that change the proposal of the WNBA? I promise you, y'all bitching and moaning, every one of y'all in these interviews is not changing the stance of the WNBA. The WNBA is going to decide whether or not it wants to meet y'all at some point. I'm sure the WNBA has offered something, but it seems like the players are not in any form of compromise.
And being able to have NECA as our president and to have so many great players that have representation, that know a lot and know what we deserve, is just really important. So I'm really happy to be a part of that meeting yesterday, but it did wake me up to a lot of things that I didn't know that was going on.
At least that's true. It woke me up to a lot of things I didn't know that was going on, because you wouldn't. You just got here. You just got here. This is stuff that's been posted that's kind of funny. You have this picture right here of someone here where it says Kathy gathering the clips to show at the next CBA meeting. You know what clips those are? Those clips are stuff like this. You saw these on the other video I did. These are the clips. These are the clips of the predatory behavior. She's just touching her ass.
I gotta sit the fuck down. No, for real. I didn't get you food. How'd you order me some food? What food she ordered you? I don't know. You gotta ask her.
Drunk as hell, acting like clowns. Is that a dude at least dancing this time on? That's a dude, actually, I think. The Stud Buds or whatever, they did their entire organization and their players association a massive disservice posting all this stuff. Seriously. You ordered Domino's pizza to this party. You had no food at the party.
I don't eat it. I just drop it. I'm gonna eat it, but you don't eat it. You don't eat it? My mama eat this shit.
So those are the clips that Kathy Engelbert's looking at right now, showing the owners, and like, these are the people that you want to represent your organization. Come on, man. Come on, dude. You see anything else we got here? The CBA, as you see all these videos of wonderful, wonderful, wonderful behavior. CBA. I have it all. I had it bookmarked. So this is the WNBPA statement that they made earlier today. The WNBPA and the Women's National Basketball Association met in person to discuss their ongoing negotiations for a new collective bargaining agreement. Alongside MBPA staff and our CBA advisory team, more than 40 players, including all stars, executive committee members, and player representatives, attended the meeting. This marked the largest in person player turnout in union history during CBA negotiations. The WNBA's response to our proposals fails to address the priorities we've voiced from the day we opted out. A transformational CBA that delivers our rightful share of the business that we've built. What business have you built? You've built, if this is the business that you've built, you should never build another business again. A league that's lost $100 million, or probably more than that, probably close to I would say $500 million. If they're giving 10 million a year at minimum, you're talking 280 million, probably 300 to 500 million dollars that this league has lost. And you think you've built something? Are you going to pay the debt back that you've incurred as players who have failed to create any profit? And every time they say, I hear that, I cringe. Improves working conditions and ensures the success we create lifts both today's players and the generations that follow. It's not accurate, really. These CBAs are redone every 4 or 5 years. Real leagues redo these things every 4 or 5 years. They don't do them every decade. They do them every 4 or 5 years. We've told the league and the teams exactly why their proposal falls so short. Why is that? Why don't you tell us? This business is booming. Media rights, ratings, revenue, team valuations, expansion fees, attendance. See, they are recognizing those expansion fees. They are seeing those expansion fees. They're like, yo, we want some of that money, but you don't have a right to it. You don't get it. That doesn't change the loss on a calendar year from your league every year. Attendance and ticket sales are all up in historic fashion, but shortchanging the working women who make this business possible stalls growth. Growth of what? You don't have the talent to support a league with 18 teams. You don't have the talent to support a league with 12 teams, and you still added a 13th. You damn sure don't have the talent to support 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, because all the players that you have on your teams right now are about to get gutted in the next few years. The only thing more unsustainable than the current system is pretending it can go on forever. It's not complicated. We are committed to the fight. We are committed to returning to the negotiating table, and we will not stop until we achieve the transformational CBA this moment demands. This is something that Paige Becker said. The biggest issue of the negotiations is revenue sharing, which would ultimately result in an increase in players' salaries. Brianna Stewart called the first proposal from the union and the counter from the league black and white to describe to describe how far apart they were from each other. Dallas Wings rookie Paige Beckers called it disrespectful. Another unknowledgeable individual who doesn't have any idea because she's a rookie. Fluff, disrespectful, wasted opportunity. These are the words that have been used by players. But Paige Becker says it's disrespectful. Why is it? Because someone else told her it was disrespectful? I'm not gonna do this the one with Gabby Williams. That's a 20-minute video. I gotta dig through that thing. But like I said, man, this is. Look, I'm all for the WNBA players getting more. I have no problem with that. What I continue to see is a lack of understanding of how businesses are run. And I don't understand why they're not being explained that by their executives, not the members, not the players, but the executives of the WNBPA. Why they fail to educate their players and their membership on these types of things. Why is it so confusing to them and so hard for them to understand that, this is a negotiation. You don't get everything you desire. So we'll see what happens. I hope they're prepared to sit this thing out. I hope they're prepared to get locked out. I hope they're willing to do all of it, because at least if they do that, then all this lip service that they've been giving will be viewed. I would view them a lot more respectfully as business people that they're willing to sacrifice for what they want. Because I don't think they're willing to do that. I think every one of these women will jump on a plane and go fly to another country and or fight to go play in the unrivaled league and make their money there. And then, but they won't. It won't be like they're sacrificing a lot because they're not making a lot in the WNBA. But I don't. I want to see if they're willing to sacrifice the future of the WNBA, sacrifice their future in the WNBA. Because with a lockout, you can lock the players out. I don't know. Let's take a look right now. Can ownership bring in new players during a lockout? Okay, it says here in major. Okay, there is a restriction though. It looks like um, there is a restriction because they're the ones that are locking them out. Um, yeah, I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can. I don't know if they can, but they're not making bread, so I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure. If anyone knows that, I mean, I'm trying to Google this fast. I don't know. Maybe there is. Maybe there is. But what I do think would happen, and what I believe would happen, is that the closer you get to the start of the next season, the more you're going to see the players that don't make a lot of money start screaming and start voicing dissatisfaction with their union, and it'll get exposed. When that happens, if that happens, that's bad for the union because you're going to have a massive fracture within the union. That's what a lockout does. It's designed to fracture the union. They want to pit you against each other. They want you to fight with each other. But that's also how you typically get deals done, is that the fighting now happens between each other. This is not like the NBA where these guys are making millions. But also keep in mind that those guys making millions have millions of dollars in expenses. They don't live off of 100 grand a year. They live off of 5 million a year, 10 million a year, 15 million a year. Whereas these women are living off of their salaries largely. They're largely living off of the salaries that they make, and the ones that are making less money are going to be sitting here like, "Yo, I can't afford this. I can't afford this. Make a deal. Make a deal. Make a deal." But you know, we'll see what happens. However, when you see the behavior for which these players have carried themselves with this weekend, recording everything, showing the world how they act behind closed doors. See, if you act a certain way behind closed doors, but no one sees what's behind those doors, nobody cares. But when you show them and you open the doors and you show how you carry yourselves behind those closed doors, now you're exposed to the opinions of other people like myself, people like other podcasts, the general public who sit here and look at you like, is that what y'all doing? Let the club behavior stay in the club. Don't push it out to the public. Don't have two teammates groping another teammate on their butt and on their breasts and think that stuff is normal. Don't have players smacking other players and rubbing other players on the ass. It's just very, very weird. But nonetheless, they've done it and they've now let the cat out the bag. And now you're going to see that stuff will probably get used against them. We'll see what happens though. But I would love to see if they would go that distance of saying, lock us out. We'll see. I think they're heading to a lockout. How long that lockout exists, we'll see. And how long it continues, we'll see. But I do think a lockout's coming because I think they're living in a land of delusion. They're out of their minds. They'll never tell you what they're asking for because the reason they'll never tell you what they're asking for, the players, is because the second that they do, they'll tip their hand and everyone will look at them like they're crazy. When they come out and say, we want 50-50, people are like, you want what? Not the dumbest person on earth understands that if you don't make profit, how the hell are you asking for 50% of the revenue? So y'all let me know y'all thoughts in the comments. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, ring the bell, leave a comment. I appreciate y'all as always. This is Rudy's Rant, Her Game, Her Way Women's Basketball. Come on now.